I am a born Jamaican and have a Jamaican passport, Jamaican flag. I've never hidden the fact that my father, who came to Jamaica from the UK and got me a British passport when I was a young child, from before first serving in government, I travel on my Jamaican passport when I go abroad. Like other Jamaicans, I apply for visas from countries such as the US and UK to go there. I'm on Banya, but the local government elections and recent polls seem to be driving some to grasp at straws. To grasp at straws. You hear how this little man, this guy, I'm sure he doesn't mind me calling him a guy. They say respect begets respect. And if he thinks that he can call somebody guy, it can only be because he doesn't mind being called a guy. So this little guy, that is the leader of the opposition, is saying that we are all grasping at straws. Well, we shall see. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Jamaica 411. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're with me for the first time, welcome. Please subscribe. Please also give the video a thumbs up if you like it. Share, comment. And if you are my subscribers and regular viewers, welcome back. You know that this channel is nothing without you. And I would love if you would continue to share, like, comment, and especially the comments I like that. I like the likes too, and I also like the sharing because we need to get the word out. You know, whenever we come here, it is to impart some kind of information. And I always feel that when you spend so much time listening, you should at least get something from it that you may feel edified. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time and yours. And I don't like wasting my time, and I certainly don't want to waste yours. So, what are we going to be speaking about today? Mark Golding deceived Portia. Now, some persons may say, but that is harsh. And why do I say Mark Golding deceived Portia? Well, I'll tell you in a moment. Now, I would like to commend the person who found this. This is a priceless gem that should be framed and put up at party headquarters at 89 Old Hope Road. It's entitled, No Dual Citizenship Holder Should Be in Parliament, Simpson Miller. This was reported on Saturday, May 24, 2008, and it's recorded at 8:08 a.m. This is when it was reported, and let me read for you what it was reported that Portia said. President of the People's National Party, PNP, Portia Simpson Miller, has dismissed claims that the PNP is pressuring the government into calling snap elections as a dual citizenship controversy rages on. Mrs. Simpson Miller was speaking at the party's divisional conference at the Spalding Primary School in Northwest Clarendon Thursday night. She said, while the PNP does not have a problem with persons holding dual citizenship, any such individual should not sit in the House of Parliament. You heard that? Just in case you didn't hear it, let me read it again. Portia Simpson Miller, our beloved Portia, nobody can doubt her loyalty and love for her people. She said, while the PNP does not have a problem with persons holding dual citizenship, any such individual should not sit in the House of Parliament. She went on to say, if you owe an allegiance to a foreign power, you should not be a member of Parliament or a senator in this country. You should not have divided loyalty. You hear what Portia said? You should not have divided loyalty. If you owe an allegiance to a foreign power, you should not be a member of parliament or a senator in this country. Then she gives an example to the comrades so that they understand why it should be so. She said, if you're the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and a vote is about to take place at the World Trade Organization or at the United Nations, nobody is supposed to be able to call you aside and you have to think twice how to vote, whether your loyalty is to the people of Jamaica or to another country, said Simpson Miller. Now, why is it important for us to recall this statement and these statements made by our beloved Portia? It is important because in 2008, it was the year after Mark Golding was appointed with others to the opposition, to be senators. By this time, Portia had lost the election in 2007, and she was now the opposition leader, and found out that there were a whole heap of Laborites sitting down in the parliament with dual citizenships, most of them with the United States. Gregory Mayer was with Venezuela, and I think one of the PNP members, I think it was Hay Webster, I think they said was born in the US, and she got into trouble and was supposed to renounce, not even sure she did. Right? So Portia has established that in Jamaica, you're not supposed to talk about you have no allegiance to any foreign power. Period. Mark Golding was in the Senate as a senator. And I put it to you that when he was in the Senate and heard and saw what it was that the PNP was doing in shaking loose all of those Labour Party MPs that were just elected, and she made this statement, he would have known that had she known about his status, she would have asked him to resign, for sure. Had Portia known about his status 4 years later in 2011, well, the election was December 29, 2011, so the government took its seat in January. Had Portia known in January 2012 that Mark Jefferson Golding was a citizen of the United Kingdom, he would not have been made a Minister of Justice. He would not. So what did he do? He hid it. Now, it is incredible that until we in the resistance found this information by looking at the British Nationality Act of 1948, I believe, if I recall, it's Section 5, subsection 1, which said that a child that is born of an English or a UK father, British citizen, is automatically a British citizen too. If we had not found that, most people would not have known for sure that Mark definitely was a citizen. Only way he could not have been a citizen is if he had renounced. So we knew from then, once we saw that he was an automatic citizen. It is amazing that nobody else in the party in that time knew of this provision, right? Otherwise, they would have figured it out from then and asked him, are you a British citizen? Did you renounce? Because we know that this provision is in the British Nationality Act of 1948. So therefore, you must be automatically a British citizen. Seems as if nobody knew about that particular clause. Or is it that somebody did know and ask him? Did anybody ask him? And if they did, what was his response? Well, obviously, we know what his response would have been. Because if he had said he was a citizen, Portia wouldn't have had him in our cabinet. Period. Unless he renounced. Because then she'll be a hypocrite. And we know our beloved Portia is no such thing. She says what she mean and she mean what she says. But we don't know if anybody knew. We don't know if anybody asked him. So we will not speculate. We only can put out the possibility that he may have been, but we don't know nothing about that for sure. But what we do know is that from 2007 until 2012, nobody in the PNP, except maybe Bunting, knew of Mark's status. It would appear. And if they did, they never told it to Portia. And just as a reminder, we also heard from Daryl Vaz, to the extent that he's a reliable witness, if we can call him that the first time Mark got his Jamaican passport that he was speaking of here was in 2011. He got his Jamaican passport for the first time in 2011. And how do we know that that is true? Surprisingly, Nikisha Burchell, the PNP's communication spokesperson, came out and made a most shocking comment. Why do I say it's shocking? It is shocking because prior to her opening her mouth and said what she said, it would have been difficult for any comrade to believe Vaz. Any comrade to believe Vaz. Even I was a little doubtful of what I was hearing. He was accused and he said it was inside the PNP the information came from. Now, who in the PNP could have known that? The only person who could have known that is Bunting himself. So she came out and made a very bold statement, which has two effects. The first effect that it has and had was that it confirmed that what Vaz was saying was true, that Mark got his first Jamaican passport when he was 40. Well, he was saying 47, but in 2011, Mark would have been 46 in his 46th year. She came out, Nikisha Burchell, and I suspect it's under the instruction of Bunting, that Vaz got the information out of Pika. And he got the information because Mark had called somebody in Pika and was discussing it, and it was a breach of privacy. Now, what could have inspired her to come out and make a comment like that, unless it was the intention of her to make the world know that what Vaz was saying was true? All she had to do was to shut her mouth. But Vaz was saying that the information came from inside the PNP. And if Mark had heard that, and if Mark knows that the only person in the PNP knows is Bunting, then he would know where the source is from. So she had to come out and make the statement that she made. But rather than just deny it and say nothing go like that, she had to point finger elsewhere. And in doing so, she made sure that the world know that is one of their little Machiavellian master stroke. She made the world know, in her pretense that she was there to defend Mark, that what Vaz was saying is true. That Mark got his first Jamaican passport when he was 46 in 2011. So that when Mark said here that from before first serving in government, I travel on my Jamaican passport, Nikisha Burchell is saying that's a damn lie. Is lying telling. She's saying by her statement that Mark is lying. She fling Mark under the bus and run over him. Why would she do that? Why would she do that to her leader? Because she has no loyalty to him. Her loyalty is to Peter Bunting. And he's the one that she's trying to get into Jamaica House. And so we have come to the conclusion that Bunting, 1 year before the election, is making his move. And his move is what? To shove out Mark and install himself into Mark's seat. That's the objective. And I'm going to show you something else that is said to come from Burchell, who had written something some kind of a letter in a group addressed to what she called the comrade vice president. Now, this came to me in a WhatsApp. As you can see, it says forwarded. It's WhatsApp. Came from a RISE group, and it is addressed to what this person said is comrade vice president. Now, there is no name at the bottom of it. We suspect Nikisha Burchell. We got it on good understanding that it's from her, but if she denies it, let us then say it is definitely a riser, and a riser in very good position to know the things that I'm about to read to you. Let me start, and then I'll show you why it has to be a top-ranking riser in a position to know the things that they are saying here. Comrade Vice President, we don't know which one of the 4 vice presidents this is addressed to. We have Donna Scott Motley, we have Michael Phillips, Ian Hales, and who's the 4th one now? I don't even remember. So it's 4 of them. Eminently forgettable. I believe it might be Norman Scott, but I can't remember who the 4th one is. It says, Comrade Vice President, given the recent controversy around the president's dual citizenship, we need to start positioning Julian as a replacement. Now, Julian now is the MP Julian Robinson from Southeast St. Andrew. You will recall that Julian was the immediate past General Secretary who lost the elections of 2020. He also allowed 400 fake groups to have been formed by the RISE group headed by Peter Bunting and Mark Golding, which was used to propel Mark in the leadership. Yes, he got there by cheating. And Julian was their man. It was also Julian who was supposed to have approved some number of persons that Mark, was it Mark? Yes, Mark had named a number of persons as his co-opted people on the NEC. They were not supposed to have been approved yet, but it was requested of him and he approved, and this was how Dayton Campbell was able to find himself as General Secretary, and some people would say mashing up the party. So this is the Julian Robinson that we are talking about, a very pliant person whom Mark and Bunting have reasons to believe they can trust. But let me continue. So that's who he is. I have always said to our group that if things don't work out for Mark, they will have a plan B to go to somebody. And I had speculated about the persons that they could go to. And I've always said Julian was the man that they would have gone to. So this is not a surprise to me. So according to this individual, who we believe is Burchell, we need to start positioning Julian as a replacement. So they need to turn to plan B, because Mark has a problem with dual citizenship. And they must know the reason why they think the situation is untenable, because that clearly is what is being hinted here, why they think they need to go to plan B. Now, this is after they've spent so much time, so much effort, so much money on polls, and so much, trying to make this man leader-centric, trying to make this man the new, I don't know what of the People's National Party, right? To make people look at him, see him as president and see him as next prime minister. That's all I hear them talking about. They're like a mindless zombie. They've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of money that they don't have. And now they were all taken aback, except I'm sure Peter Bunting. He must have known they were partners. And they're now looking to replace him. And the man who they're looking to replace him with is Julian. Let us hear why. The situation has highlighted vulnerabilities that have impacted the party's standing. The steep fall in support based on the current poll underlines what we all knew. The president is not carrying the party. His negative weight is almost too much for the party to carry. Now, does this sound like somebody who is a real, genuine supporter of Mark? No, it does not. The writer goes on to say, while Comrade Leader Mark's dual citizenship isn't illegal, the perception of divided loyalties has damaged his chances of becoming Prime Minister and the party forming government. This situation cannot stand. Paulwell is currently in a bad place with ongoing issues that make him less viable as a candidate. Additionally, Dayton, despite his potential, is still not ready and not considered winnable in the current climate. And Damien, while popular, is not in the lower house. Plus, he is not yet sellable. Lisa can't be trusted and she is a serpent and a Labourite. We need a strong, unifying figure who can steer us through these challenges, and Julian fits this role perfectly. Plus, he is acceptable to the middle class and our funders. So you hear that? So they're looking at the various persons. They begin with Paulwell. He's in the lower house, but he has his problems. Then they look at Dayton, who is not in the parliament, but they looked at him nonetheless. Damien is a popular guy, but he's not in the parliament. So why bother to look at Dayton in the first place? They said they think he has potential. And then, of course, they can't trust Lisa for obvious reasons, because Lisa and are not with them. And chances are, if Lisa become the leader, they may feel that many of them would become persona non grata. That is what they fear. They went and sabotaged and undermined the party to lose two general elections, 2016 and 2020, the 2020 general election. And they did it, some for money, some for positions. And having done all of that and betrayed their own party, they're not going to give that up so easily, not when they've come so far, not yet at any rate. Right? So Lisa was not going to be in their orbit, even though Lisa can win the election for them. But she's not controllable. For them, Julian is a perfect guy. The thing is, they think that Julian is a unifying figure. That is all in their own mind. Right? And they think that people will accept him, and they think that the middle class and the funders will accept him as well. That may well be true, but it is doubtful that the comrades will accept him. Not the resistance, not the 88% that want to see the back of these risers, because they all see him as a riser and the one who helped to propel them to where they are, which is why he's so well rewarded and can sit beside the leader in parliament. So that is their wet dream. But let me continue. Let's discuss how we can strategically promote Julian and ensure a smooth transition. This move is crucial for maintaining our party's credibility and ensuring we have a strong president who can lead us to victory in the next election. Now, of the four persons that they mentioned, Paulwell, they mentioned Dayton, and Damien and Julian. Did you notice that there's one name that was not mentioned? Oh, yes. I know that you noticed it. Yes, man, you noticed it? Yes. The rice boss himself, Peter Murcott Bunting. He's not in the house, but yet his name was not mentioned. Why was his name not mentioned? Because they don't want us to smell the rat of what it is that they're really up to. and what it is, the reason why they really want to move Mark. People keep talking about Mark when the next prime minister, and Mark was only supposed to be there warming the bench until Bunting get a seat. This is more than a year, nearly a year out, year and a half outside of the election. This is Bunting's dirty habit. He did it before, he's doing it again. So this individual is writing and saying that, listen, we need to move Mark. Remember now, somebody went and told Vaz that Mark never got his first passport until 2011. This is after it bust out that Mark is an automatic British citizen. Up to that point, he never admitted to it. But we had the proof, and we showed the people, and people believed it. Laborites are putting him under pressure to come out and say whether he is or is not. And to stoke up the fire, after Mark admitted, stoke up the fire, somebody told Vaz that Mark never got his first passport until 2012 when he was 46, to show that he's lying and to show that he has no commitment whatsoever to this country, and that he had been traveling on that passport, that British passport, which Mark was trying to make out that he did not do. He just had it because Daddy got it for him when he was a baby. He never used it. He was using his Jamaican passport. Somebody told Vaz. And now here is somebody writing to the vice president, a comrade vice president, to tell them, listen, we need to move Mark now. And we're going to put Julian there. But when Mark is removed, because Mark will be removed, if Mark will be removed and he has to resign. And when he does, guess what? South St. Andrew's seat will become vacant. I want if you to understand, I want if you to see what I am seeing and what we are seeing. Do you understand what it is that we are seeing? This attempt to remove Mark is somebody's plan, taking advantage of the revelations that came out, and they're now making a move. They're moving him because the situation is untenable. But he was put there in the first place, and he had no chance of winning any election, but they put him there in the first place. So what is the big deal now that he has dual citizenship? No. They're making the move. Right? First, they leaked the information about his status in terms of the fact that he had his first passport, which is going to shock everybody and prove that everything that he has been saying about in Love Jamaican is a lie. He has no interest in this country. His investments, he said, is here, but his investments are largely in shares and stocks. You can move with them in your suitcase. One piece of property he has. I mean, it was an incredible thing that a man with so much money had so much of his money tied up in securities rather than real estate, which is the sensible thing to do. He does not want to have any commitment to this country. He has a British passport, and we are quite sure a British birth certificate. Regardless of wherever he was born, even if it is true that he was born here, the birth certificate that he carries is a British birth certificate, and that is what he was using all the time. And somebody's making a move. They're making a move, mark my words. And the objective is not to just remove him as leader and position Julian, but that seat is going to be vacant, because at the time when he was nominated, he was not entitled to be in our parliament. He was ineligible according to the Constitution because he held a passport of a foreign country that he was using, and according to him, in his own words, that passport is still valid. And I'm going to let you hear it for yourself.
Abide by, but as far as I'm concerned, it's part of who I am. Being my father's son is who I am. Barack Obama was the son of a Kenyan. He didn't have to go through any procedure to renounce his Kenyanship. He became the president of the United States. Similarly, I'm born here. I grew here. Yes, I have this status by virtue of who my father was. But why should I be required when the law doesn't and the Constitution doesn't require it to change my status? Nobody else has ever been asked to do that. Do you have a Jamaican passport, Margolin? And when you travel to the UK, do you use your UK citizenship or do you go and get a visa like the rest of us? I travel on a Jamaican passport whenever I travel nowadays. Since I came into government in 2012, I decided I was not going to use the UK passport, and I've maintained that. I have a diplomatic passport as a minister, and then as a leader of the opposition, I got one again. I have a UK visa in my Jamaican diplomatic passport. I was in the UK 2 years ago for a tour. I went up on that visa. I had to apply for it. I had to go to the office here and go through all the biometrics like everybody else and what have you. So I have a US visa in my Jamaican passport. I have a 10-year visa as well, and in my diplomatic passport. So I travel on my Jamaican. And in fact, I'm not intending to renew my UK passport. It expires this year, and I don't use it. I haven't been using it for a long time.
So let me make the first correction. It is not true. Constitution, even though it says it is true at section 39 that you qualify to be in the parliament by being a Commonwealth citizen. That's what it says. Not a Jamaican citizen, but a Commonwealth citizen. Living here for a year and you're over the age of 21, I do believe, you can sit in the parliament. However, that section is subject to the following section, which is section 40, meaning that is not a standalone section. You are a Commonwealth citizen, meaning that if you are born outside of the Commonwealth, you have to renounce. No question. You cannot be born in the United States and sit in our parliament without renouncing that citizenship. You can be a Commonwealth citizen and sit in the parliament. However, if you owe an allegiance to a foreign power, you cannot sit in the parliament, even as a Commonwealth citizen. So let me explain what I understand the law is, and I will come with the next video and show you some evidence that Commonwealth citizens are not permitted to have an allegiance to any foreign power. And the United Kingdom has been defined by the Australian court as a foreign power. And you know how close Australia is to Britain. So it's a foreign power to Australia. It's a foreign power to Jamaica. You cannot owe allegiance. And having a passport and traveling on a passport and having a passport from the United Kingdom, according to the courts here in the W versus Vaz case, where it says that having the passport is an act of acknowledgement of allegiance to a foreign power. And you did that of your own free will when you went and you renewed the passport. And since Mark could not have had a passport from he was a young child until now, he renewed it. As a matter of fact, he said that his passport expired this year, 2024. And it's a 10-year passport, so he must have had it, assuming he's speaking the truth. Because you know that he's a man that is not, let's put it this way, in love with truth. But let us take his word for it. He would have had that passport since 2014, while he was in Portia Simpson Miller's government. He has acknowledgement. He's under the acknowledgement of allegiance to a foreign power by virtue of his own act. And according to the Constitution, you're not supposed to sit down in a parliament. And it doesn't matter whether you're a citizen of Jamaica, a Commonwealth citizen, a citizen of Britain, a citizen of the moon. The Constitution is clear, right? And even though the decision was not made here, it certainly was made in the Australian court, where Australian lawmakers were obliged to resign their positions because they were dual citizens with the United Kingdom. The same law we have, that speaks to countries in the Commonwealth sitting in the Australian Parliament. It's the same one we have here. The same one that speaks to you not having or not swearing an allegiance to a foreign power or under the acknowledgement of allegiance to a foreign power by your own act. It's in their court, it's in their constitution as well. But they don't permit dual citizenship, period. Our law is a little bit more advanced, I would say, because it says by your own act. And I will explain in the next video what all that means. So when he said that our constitution permits him as a Commonwealth citizen to sit with a foreign passport, which is a British passport, no, that's not true. And as soon as somebody takes him to court, he's not going to challenge it because he knows he can't win. And he's not going to be spending 20 million on anybody's lawyer, not to mention his own, for sure. So that is that. So let us continue now with what this person, this riser that's in a position to know a little bit about the internal workings of the party. So let me continue. So let me repeat what it said at the top. It said, let's discuss how we can strategically promote Julian and ensure a smooth transition now from Mark to Julian. This move is crucial for maintaining our party's credibility and ensuring we have a strong president who can lead us to victory in the next election. So them looking past Mark. They not look past Mark anymore. Mark now is damaged. Mark can't lead them to victory. Julian now is the person they think they can trust, and they must know why it is that they can trust Julian. And they must know what it is they can trust Julian about. Right? So they're talking about now, we need to move now and switch Mark for Julian. And we must ensure that the transition is smooth. The individual went on to say, this riser, I know that you are aware that some very senior members are very concerned and some discussions are taking place. I know that you are aware that some very senior members are very concerned and some discussions are taking place. Who are these senior members? And who are these senior members that could be discussing removing Mark and replacing him with Julian? I can assure you that Peter Bunting would be one of them. And this person's language and tone reminds me very much of somebody else who was in that WhatsApp leak messages in that group called Rise United Strategist Group. You're not heard of it, right? One of these days I'm going to do a video especially on that leak message, which is the cause of the present fallout in the party. Once the membership knew what these people were doing, instead of trying to help the party, they were plotting to bring it down in order to ensure that Peter Phillips lost the election and put themselves in the way of being elevated into the leadership. I'll tell you about that another time. But when you read what this person is saying, this person is speaking about future plans and making a proposal, right? And this could not be coming from anywhere else than from Peter Bunting. They went on to say, from those discussions, they are to approach the comrade leader. You hear that? The preliminary poll results are not very flattering. Let's hope it's just a one-off drop and not a trend. Let me read that again. From those discussions, this is the discussions now that they said is taking place between very senior members. From those discussions, they are to approach the comrade leader after they've made a decision about switching out Julian and replacing the comrade leader with Julian. They're going to now go to Mark and say to Mark, this thing is untenable, it can't work. Nobody in the party is in a position to do so except Peter Bunting. So let me continue. As she said, the preliminary poll results are not very flattering. Now, who in the People's National Party would have access to the poll results? except persons who are in the General Secretary's confidence. The General Secretary or Peter Bunting himself, who must have instructed this person to write this letter to this particular vice president that they wanted to convince that he must come on board with this idea that Julian should take over from the comrade leader. You understand what is happening now? Okay, so this person is talking about now trying to frighten the vice president, make him alarm that the poll results come out and they not look good, not look good at all. But we hope say, it's just a little one-off thing. In other words, it's not a permanent thing. But if we change the leader, we want to hope say it will come back up. That is the message that they're trying to tell to this particular vice president, right? That it's not a trend. But we ought not to wait. We ought not wait. The party can recover based on the polls, but the comrade leader is doubtful. You see this now? Let me read that for you again. But we ought not wait. We can't wait another minute. Listen, Vice President, you can't sit down and talk about it. You got to think about it. And you can't wait. We can't wait. This is something very urgent. The party can recover, The party can recover based upon the polls. How then come to that conclusion? The poll is saying, right, that there's a drop in the support for the party. Them just hoping it's not a trend. And they are saying to the vice president, but we can't wait, We can't wait on this. We need to change Mark now, right? And we believe that after we change him, we'll be able to recover. The party will be able to recover with a new leader. But if Mark stays there, we don't think so. That is what this person is saying, right? While the team goes back in the field, we must plan and prepare. We have worked too hard to turn back now. We need to face the realities and move quickly and quietly. We cannot hesitate. All right. Now, while the team goes back into the field, they're talking about the Don Anderson team. We must plan and prepare. That sounds familiar. Yes, make we plan. Yes, man. When they were upset about Peter Phillips's shadow cabinet, leaving out some of them, right? They were very upset and they wanted to plan and let's plan. Come with plan. Let's not get upset. Come with plan. Yes, you remember that? I'll show you. Right? Where I've heard that before. So, according to them, right? Group of them, this person could not have been writing this on their own. They have instructions to approach this particular vice president. We have worked too hard to turn back now. We need to face the realities. Mark not when cut it. That's the reality. And move quickly and stealthily. Quickly and quietly. Right? Why do they need to move quietly? They don't want Mark to know. Is it that they don't want Mark to know? So what if Mark knows? So what if Mark knows? Mark don't have no people. All of them are Bunting's people. Bunting was the one who recruited them. So they are all Bunting's people. So what is the need for the quiet? Is it that they don't want the rest of the party to know that they intend to move Mark? Maybe. Or is it that they don't want the rest of us out here to know that they intend to move Mark? All that too. Because after all, it's supposed to be a smooth transition. We cannot hesitate. Meaning to say, no buck shuffle in this bus. Now you see how these risers are? You see how they're gutsy? You see how they're bold? And when they take a decision, them do it. And yet the so-called authentic PMP sit down there. From the very minute they hear the party was undermined and destroyed by these people, They couldn't even find the courage to call Mark into a meeting and ask him about it. You see the difference? That is why these risers are where they are, and those cowards, then go and take time and shoot them out. Take time and shoot them out and take them positions. Because that's what they are, a bunch of cowards. And we stop look to them for anything. Because you see, when Bunting made the move and this vice president is convinced to go with them, and I suspect this may well be Mikhail that they were writing to. Right? Because I doubt they could have write this to Donna Scott. The Donna Scott, no, not like that with them. Right? And Ian Hayes would have been one of the decision maker with Bunting about removing Mark. They can't cut it. But they need this particular vice president. And I suspect they need this particular vice president, thinking that maybe he's in a position to convince the other MPs to come along with them and move Mark, because they have to move Mark as an opposition leader on a no confidence vote. How else are they going to move Mark and replace him with Julian? They need the support of the MPs to sign the no confidence and send to the GG to have Mark removed, replaced with Julian. Why Julian? Because Julian reminds me a little bit of Shearer. You recall that meeting they said what took place in 74. Some big financier for the JLP met with Shearer and Edward Siaga, and the discussion was taking place, and they asked him to step aside, because him now cut it. And he promptly agreed and step aside. That's Julian. Right? They can trust Julian that he is not going to put up any resistance. After them get rid of Mark, the next thing they're going to do is pressure him to leave the seat. And when that seat becomes vacant, who you think they're going to name to go into that sure PNP seat, the surest PNP seat there is? And then now Bunting now will come in. Same like how the executive named Bunting to go and be the standard bearer for South Manchester. Secretly. And then later on we hear them take time pop it out, because they know the sentiments of the comrades where Bunting is concerned. And this is the master plan. This is the master plan. And so I come to tell you what the master plan is, so you can look out for the master stroke. The Machiavellian wannabe. And there's not a thing Mark can do about it. The only persons who can do something to prevent Bunting from being leader of the opposition or succeeding in his Machiavellian masterpiece, master stroke plan of his, right, are those cowardly 12 that's in the parliament now. So I don't know what is going to happen. We watch and we see, but I suspect somebody is going to be taking Mark to court, and once that happens, that is when I'm going to pressure him now to step aside and install somebody. The question is, will the other MPs agree and install Julian? You will notice that they are trying to place Julian as the man who can attract money to the PNP, as the man who is a unifying force. That is what they're trying to sell. But according to what I'm hearing, and mark my words now, I tell you it's what I'm hearing. I hear that Mark, poor innocent fellow, trusting and believing his treacherous friend and partner, Peter Bunting, is telling the comrades, that if they replace him and Bunting is going to make sure that nobody in the private sector gives the People's National Party any money. Right? Him and Bunting going to make sure, poor fellow, don't seem to know that it's Bunting that is the one shooting him out. That poor little dainty innocence what we have called authentic PNP. They don't have the stomach for that. Should have figured that it must be a riser that is doing that, and the only riser who would be doing any such thing must be authorized. Paying these people, them can't go out and do things on their own. Is who going to pay them? How Mark Golding so innocent? Him not realize as him friend I try to show him out. So him talking about his friend and him going to make sure that the People's National Party is starved of funding. How that going to work, Marky G? If they should be out, you know, have no power. And if they should be out and put somebody like Lisa there, I'm sure one of the deal that she'll be making, if she's going to take the post at all, is that Peter Bunting has to resign. So what kind of power you and Bunting going to have outside that anybody should listen to you when you're not no power in a parliament to do them anything? Well, you can't do them. Well, you can't do anybody. So that is an empty threat. And an empty threat from a desperate man. And I suggest when you're looking for a traitor, go look to your friend and him leak your business and tell Vaz because he's making his move and you're in him way. Right? Now, let us assume that Bunting even succeeds and the little cowardly MPs and put him in place. Right? He's probably going to make them stay. But as a part of the deal. And them think they can trust traitors, you know. But let us say for argument's sake, Bunting is a leader. Is which election Bunting are going in Jamaica? Can any of you tell me? All right, I think that's enough for me for today. Or I should say tonight. It's now 1:07 a.m. if you can believe it. And it is the 4th, I do believe Sunday the 4th of June 2024. So I'm going to leave you now. I'm going to ask you to remember to like the video if you like the content, share, because we need to get this video out. We need to get the message out and do somebody. If you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody else who knows Marky G, send this go give him. Send this go give him, man. Because he seemed to be under the impression that his authentic PMP trying to push him out. And I suspect his Bunting probably giving him that impression because that is the nature of the man. He's a treacherous, lecherous fellow. You hear, Guy? Wanna tell Guy that for me. Tell Guy, it's not the authentic PMP trying to push him out. As to whether they'll do anything to help him, I don't know. But good luck to him. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me, keeping me company. As I said, please like up the video, share, leave your comments, tell me what you think. Tell me who you think is behind this letter. Right? If Nikisha Burchell says it's not her, and we're going to take her word for it, then my other finger would be on Maureen Weber. Yes, that writing style kind of reminds me of her as well. So it's one of those two, but it's a woman that wrote that. So until next time, remember, take good care of yourself and walk good.